Hi, my lovely spectators. Dee here. Welcome to my studio. So, I'm gonna bring to you some, I don't know, some suggestions, some ideas for Mass Make March. And so I've been watching everybody and I've been seeing people bring a lot of things to the table. Some things have been similar to things that I've done just on different days. I'm doing way advanced recording. So what I'm looking at right now today is looking at these papers that I have, right? And I was thinking, we want to use them. They're relatively thin. I did use them to make some pockets during mass make, right? They're considered printed cardstock. I take that with a grain of salt, right? But they have some really, different kind of patterns. There's no real theme or anything like that other than the color, right? Black and white and grays. Midnight chic. And I got these from Ollie's, which is like a discounted off leftover get rid of our stash for $2, right? It's a lot of paper and I've been making my way through it. And I also have one that is called Time Worn Textures, which have a lot of these grungy looking, oh, I didn't use that one, grungy looking papers, right? And I made some pockets. Now they are single-sided, which is fine. You can coffee dye the other side, do all kinds of things, right? But I wanted to use these as the primary source of putting together what I'm doing. And so from the title, you probably saw the word flashcards. Now, mass making flashcards it's not just decorating. So I've gone to thrift stores and I have found little stacks of flashcards. They want $5, $6, $7. They're not necessarily vintage in that there's no patina and stuff like that, but I want to incorporate flashcards into my repertoire. I want to have them in my stash. So being a teacher, and I know that there's probably a ton of you guys out there that are also teachers, what I've done is I've gone to my teacher resources, right? But also just gone to Google and have Googled free printables, flashcard printables. And I got myself a bunch of pages to print, right? So of course printing them on white, kind of boring. That's whatever the case is. But I printed them using that paper. And right now you can hear it's still printing some of these papers, right? But if you're a teacher, there's a resource called Teachers Pay Teachers, which I'm sure we're familiar with, right? But there's all grade levels there. So what I did was I went online to Teachers Pay Teachers. I teach math. I teach high school math. I went online and I downloaded and Googled up teachers, right? I look for free because we do have teachers that, you have to put something free, at least one free resource when you want to have an account there. And I put in free and I put flashcards, right? Mathematics, vocabulary, whatever the case is, just put flashcards in there. And I was able to find a number of different sources of flashcards. So I decided to take them, print them out on this paper. Okay? So yes, it's a little thinner, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to back them to coffee dye paper or a coffee dye cardstock, right? So they have this style, right? And yes, somebody be like, why can't you just, you could, I could, probably a lot of you could, but do we want to take the time sitting in front of the computer and making these necessarily? Maybe. Then we throw it in our coffee shop or we throw it on Etsy and see if we get any bites, right? They also had this version, which has the lines and a little corner. And that's very similar to what flashcards look like, right? I see another one there. So all I did was throw in a random number of papers, right? I even threw a clean, white one, so they're in there too, to give me variety. And as I was messing around in Teachers Pay Teachers, I was able to find some really fun stuff, right? So I found, but my printer's losing ink, so I don't know. They felt a little weird. I'm doing a mermaid journal, so I found some letters that had an aquatic ocean theme. So someone had made these on Teachers Pay Teachers, right? Then I'm mentioning it. If you're not a teacher, you're like, well, Miss Thing, that's not going to help me. I feel like this is a little dark. Let me get some light in here. Is that a little better? Because I do have the light from the side. Yeah, maybe. Let me get some color. Hold up a second. I'm going to bring in the sun. Meanly my table lamp. There we go. And someone had set up these guys, which were so cute. So I did this so that I could have for my mermaid journal. But if you have an aquatic themed journal, right? So if you're a teacher, you know, you can definitely do that as a resource. But there are other places that, you know, when you Google it, you'll find other websites for sure, for sure. I had these were all black and white setup. They're a little smaller, so I'm not losing anything. I'm getting scraps from it. I did some solids, but then I also printed them on some of these guys, and it's a little obscured, but that's okay. So I even looked for alphabet, right? And then I found these guys that they called, what are they called? Word strips. It's still on my computer because I'm just downloading. Vowel terms, vowel teams, right? Which there's longs. And I was like, perfect. They're perfect for long tags. Excuse me, tall tags. And so I went ahead and I printed a bunch. I even got some on, you know, all different, these different backgrounds. So it's easy to use these other papers that are thin enough to go into our printers and make some fun stuff. So I tried to print this as black and white. I don't know why my printer is not wanting to play nicely with me. So it's all in color, but that's okay. It's a little obscured. That's fine as well. So to finish off, right, some of these, so some of them have a lot of color. People, you know, they're making it for children and stuff. I figured that I would see what I have here. Let's see if this is dry. I don't think it is. Maybe I might be able to get away with one or two. I did some coffee dyeing. Yeah, it's still a little wet. Yesterday, and just trying different strategies, because I usually will like completely submerge, etc., and then like try to pour out as much of the excess, and then it takes days and days for these things. And this is mixed media paper, so it's really thick, if you can see. And you know, it's gonna change colors because it is still wet. I was hoping that it would be. So like me, I coffee dyed everything under the sun, even some what are these called, business cards. So I was just coffee dyeing anything that I have. So this is actually yellow paper, yellow printer paper that I coffee dyed. So these are a little drier than the other ones, but look at that. So what I think I want to do is I want to mass make a few. I'm going to use the coffee dye for now, and on a couple, and see just how that's going to feel. If it's going to give me enough of a oomph for it to kind of work out and whatnot. So I'm not going to use my cardstock ones, right? Because of course there are cardstock ones in there. Okay. I'm gonna maybe no, I'm not gonna do a white one. I want to do something fun. I'm gonna do something fun. Let's take one of these colored ones and glue it together. And then let's see here. I mean, look, all these different lovely patterns. They're so fun. And you know what? Let's do this guy. That's cute. And then let's do, I want to do one of the tall, oh, look at the bunny rabbit. I want to do one of the tall ones. Okay. Is this a tall one? Maybe. I don't think so. The red was not tall. No. Let's do one of the tall ones that's a little bit more visually able to see. We'll do one of those. And then because we want it to be a mass make, let's grab one of the cardstocks. So, where is it? Let's do this cardstock. It's kind of dark, but it's the one that has this little piece right here. So that way I don't have to coffee dye this one. So, but look at all this wealth of stuff and put in my stash. And when I want a card of something, or when I want to sit down and just glue, I have plenty ready to go. So let's take the trimmer out of the way first, and let's get to adhering some of these to some coffee dye paper. Okay, so yeah, this feels like it is completely dry. There's a little wrinkle to it, but I don't really mind that. Okay, this side is a little lighter than that side. So maybe because it's going to be the back, I will let it be in that way. So we'll glue those two together, and we will glue. Oh my gosh, things are falling. I have no place to set things out the way while I work. Oh my goodness, I'm completely rolling over my printer. Well, I gave it some grunge, right? It's got some texture now. All right, and then this one, I don't know which kind. What would you? I love the color of this one. This was the top one. So the last of the, and then I would place another piece of paper on top of it, like that, without touching. So there was nothing to kind of touch on this side except that the thing that I was using. So I think, I don't know guys, I don't know, I'm so stuck or whatever. Let's just get some glue on here. So I bought myself, I'm trying all kinds of glues, but like, am I making like any kind of notes? No, because I'm cuckoo. So we got our Scotch Permanent. Okay, this one doesn't have a smell. The Tombow has a weird kind of funky smell. The Eileen's has a smell, but that's like supposed to be industrial. So let's go ahead and do this. So I'm not going to take out a glue page, but I'm going to take out this little chopping board that you can get from the Dollar Tree, right? And then I can just, you know, wash it later. I'm not, you know, I don't have the book space for that. So we're going to put the glue all the way to the edge. Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of warpage, right? I love how some of you guys are able to kind of put glue on the entire thing, and then somehow it sticks. Because I feel like, I'm going to try, I feel like when I kind of glue and I'm working on the entire page, that I don't really get the coverage, right, to stay wet enough so that actually it'll still be wet when I put the two pieces of paper together. That's what I'm trying to say. So everything seems wet to me right now. I'm gonna hit up the edges, even though this is gonna get cropped, right? We're going to put this as best we can, because remember, we are going to be cutting this out. So we're going to do that. Okay. Let's just make sure we flatten it out. I don't always use this, but since it needs to cover a really good amount of space, I want to make sure. Okay. So here's our other side. Some wrinklage is happening because it's going to dry, so I'm going to stick it under here for the moment, and let's do the other one. So then we can mass make some little flashcards, right? So we're going to put this there, and I'm going to go ahead and cover it again with the entire thing with adhesive. Okay. And then once we have them cut out, we can ink the edges. We can add a little bit of something on there. I also wanted to build it up because I feel like when I'm going to start doing little golden books, journals, right? And, you know, I want to do a series, but I also need to have things to put in all the pockets and the tucks and all of that good stuff. And I feel like to keep it with the theme is to kind of include kid type elements, meaning the flashcards, things that match whatever the theme of the book is. So for example, if it's Sleeping Beauty, to find some images online that I can use to create pockets and belly bands and tucks, and then getting things like coloring book pages and whatnot. Yeah. So again, I'm going to put the lighter side up, and we're going to line it up because we are going to lose some of the edge. But we're just creating scraps to be used in other projects. Okay. The printer is speaking to me. She's mad because I was printing so many pages of flashcard type items. What was also interesting that I found on that note, reminded me because I didn't mention it before, was that in Teachers Pay Teachers, but I'm sure you can Google it, right? You know, do a search saying free printable flashcards in Spanish. I found some stuff in other languages. Now, they're not all black and white, and since my printer was not, this was the first thing I was trying to print in black and white, that did not print in black and white, even though I said, not this one, the other one. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like, didn't do its job. So let's let those marinate down there. Now, this is the other one. Now, this is a really dark color. So it may be inclined that you feel you might want to put something a bit lighter. I don't mind adding in darker papers, because what I would try to do is put something metallic on there, because metallics tend to be able to write on papers of this size, you know, of this color tone. So we're going to leave it blue, and we're going to do that as part of the mass make. So lucky for me, the printing has the little lines of perforation to be able to cut. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use those lines, and we're going to start with our first little batch. Okay, so down the middle, and then this was like a perfect like fit to page, so I didn't have to mess with anything in terms of trying to make things fit in there. The way that the person set it up, and I can appreciate being a teacher, you also do not want to waste paper. You also want to make cutting things out super easy. When you have this fit like this way, it's great because you just do exactly what I'm doing. You'd be surprised how many tools us teachers have. I mean, I've got trimmers at work, I've got laminators, I've got, you know, of course, glue sticks and scissors and, you know, color pencils and markers and things like that, because, you know, we want to bring a little bit of visual into the kids, right? So this is going to be the first one. So I'm going to take my corner chomper, my tag chomper, because obviously that is there. And I'm going to see, that one looks like it would fit, but I think I'm going to use the other one because I want to make sure that I get, yeah, that's a better fit. So this is really speaking to that old version of tag. So if you can find yourself a nice file, then just, you know, get it printed on all kinds of various papers, and you have yourself some flashcards. Okay, so I'm going to do these, and then let me show you what I might do in terms of adding some pizzazz. So obviously this one would probably not be in something that's vintage and grungy per se, because the blue is so vibrant, right? But we may want to have, like I said, it could be in a very bright botanical, and you just want to have a little bit of fun by having those, you know. Okay, why do we always have to look for my garbage can every single time? Anyway, so One of the things we're going to want to do is we're going to want to get rid of this white core paper because, of course, that is a little bit jarring to the eye. So I have... Okay, can't get it out. Let me grab a few. I'll grab a silver. Okay, I'll grab... Let's see, is there a gold? Yes, I'll grab a gold. This kind of gold. And let me grab... Let's see, we'll grab a white just to have it here. And we have a charcoal. Okay, and we have a blue. I like to see what this blue looks like on top of that blue. Okay, so obviously, if you're doing getting something, I got these off of Amazon. Okay, if you want the link, let me know. It's a dual metallic pen, so it has a bullet and it has a brush tip on it. Okay, so let me bring you down a little bit closer to what we're doing because you don't need that be that far away. I'm gonna take the brush tip and I'm just going to hit this, right? To do that. Okay. So I already got it on the other side. No bueno, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I just want to try to, but it's not getting rid of it that much because it has that metallic. Okay. So here's the thing. If you're going to do what I'm just doing, make sure that whatever side you don't want, and this is something that you also do for paintings, if you're going to paint the edges of paintings, you don't want to put it to the side that you want, because if your hand slips, you're going to get it definitely on the front. But over here, since this is the back, if my hand slips, I can have these little, you know, irregularities, right? And so what I might want to do is I could, you know, put some faux stitching in some metallic on the writing side. Okay, this is a brush side tip. I can go ahead, grab the bullet tip. We can also do another block of the metallic, right? So that it lets the person kind of see that metallic idea. And it's like, oh, okay. So the brush's metallic is a little more vibrant than the other one, but that's okay. And we have the first one. We can also grunge them up and put like, you know, whatever, whatever we want on there. If you wanted to do it on the front, let's do it with gold. Okay. And we can do that on the front. Okay. And we can do the faux stitching. For those of us that don't have sewing machines, right? We can do a faux stitching to add a little whimsy to it. I'm going to do it all the way around. Okay. Go over here. And go up here. And go across. Okay. So you have that going on, right? And then since it's gold, right? I could take I love me these Temu stickers. Where you be? Okay, here we go. I've been really diving into these, right? So let's say this was going to go on a botanical garden, a botanical kind of thing. I could take just a little floral and put it there with the flashcard, right? It's a little big, and add to that metallic vibe that's going on there. So our answer of 0 times 5 is this flower. And we can do that. Okay. I think I want to do something. It's still too, to me, it feels a little too big. Or maybe the color is throwing me off. No, that's silver. Okay, but I have a ton. So let's just pick one and move on. I'm sorry, guys. But it's okay. Let's put that over here. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just put one on there because why not? And now let's look at the other ones, right? So solid color papers that are darker, doable. Okay, I'm going to put that there. Right. So now I have a nice little card. I'm going to trim that. I could stick in a pocket. You know, I could even make, nope, wrong scissors. I could even make this into a tuck itself. Okay. Let's grab some, let's see here. Let's grab some frayed burlap, because why not? It's just easier because it's one thing here. Oh, let's distress one with some brownie color, right? And so can still get that grunge going on over here. Let's see how that looks. Okay, you want to get rid of that white core. Okay, there we go. I missed it right here. Okay. On the back, we can do that as well. Okay. So then we have these nice grungier kind of things and kind of tags. And then we can actually take some of the things that we normally would use when we're doing something a little grungy, right? So say we have some, I'm looking at my labels over here. So say we have some labels. I have a little bin. I don't want to move it because right now everything will fall. I have a little bin that has, you know, circles and corner pieces and labels and all the things we use to decorate. And I'm just trying to find something that feels like it would work. Okay. All right. Let's take a piece of book page. I'm just gonna do a little decoration. Oh, here goes. I'm trying to grab that one down here. There's a label here that I wanted to grab. Okay, so we're going to ink up our pieces, right, of our flashcard. And this one here. Now it's not, it has straight edges, which is fine. If you don't like that, you can change it up. So we have this. This is a very brittle book page. So what I've been doing is I put it there so that I can get some color on it without it falling apart. And then I can use it and it's got some grunge to it. So I'm going to take our art glitter glue. See, coffee dyeing splatters everywhere. We're going to put this down here. I filled her up so good to not have to squeeze so hard to get stuff out. Okay, I'm gonna take this now. That's a little much, a little too grungy for me. Okay, we're gonna overlap that here. Okay, and then we have this guy, so we're gonna create that little cluster like that. So we're just gonna, okay. All right, so there's some ideas for you guys to use colored paper, and maybe hopefully you guys can go on the internet and find some of these flashcards. Okay, so now let's look at the other ones. Hopefully they're dry enough that they're not going to give my trimmer a hard time. Now they're drying underneath to be flat, but then they are also not getting air. So fingers crossed, guys, fingers crossed. So yeah, so just to recount, you know, solid color paper, grungy it up. I don't know how I did that. Got silver there. Put a little cluster. Let them know metallics are the way to go. Put a little metallic on the front. Leave it blank. But then on the back, show the metallics are an option. So that's one thing we can do. Let me raise you up again. Okay. And we're going to move the markers out of the way. And let's take a look. Okay. Yeah, so they're still a little bit wonky. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a blade and a a blade and a ruler, because I don't think my trimmer is going to play nicely with it still being a little wet. Who's to say that the trimmer is going to be any nice? Well, I'll check the tip and make sure that it's a nice sharp tip and not too dull. So I'm going to go up against this. I'm going to cut off this. I went a little stray, but it's okay. It's okay. Gonna go across these two. Okay. Okay. If you're afraid of using a knife like this because you're gonna cut yourself, because I literally did cut myself back in the day when I was helping my cousin. She was still in high school. I was an adult, adulting, and basically I was helping to cut something and I literally went through this finger. So that finger has like a very thick skin and like no feeling sometimes. And yeah, so I can understand that that may be very daunting for you. And for the moment, for the longest, I could not do what I'm doing right now. What I did was I got myself a ruler. Let me see if I can find it. That has a protective edge. Okay. I haven't found them out in like Staples or anything like that. But they have an edge that is what you are using to protect your finger. So I'll use this one next. This is a rather long one. And it's only in centimeters, but I'm only using it for the protection, not for the measuring. So we will need to cut a little bit around the curve because it is not, don't cut it crooked. Don't cut into the burgundy, girl. I don't have a corner rounder that makes this size. I think it exists. I want to say Vassin Creative has it, but it's expensive. It's like almost $40, and then it's from the UK or over in like Europe someplace. Let me not automatically say everything is UK. Even UK is still usable. I don't even know. I think, and it has larger curves than the ones that we all have and we can find on, you know, Amazon and, you know, Temu and stuff like that for like $5-6. They have like a 4 radius, a 7 radius, and a 10 radius. I think it goes up higher to like 14. So it's still a little wet, so it's still doing that. But look how cool. That's a nice tag that we can have. We can add some decorations, right? We have an owl down here. We have the ooh over here, right? If it's too long, I could cut the owl off. I could cut it off over here. You know, I could cut this as a pocket. I mean, this is like something that I could do a lot with, right? If I wanted to, I could bend this over, make this over the page. Like shapes like this, plenty of options. I'm gonna stick it back under here because it is still not flat. But anyway, and then we will have the other one. So I'm definitely gonna go ahead. I'm gonna wait for a little bit more for these papers to the heavy one, the cardstock ones, because then I would get that nice rigidity. I usually want the coffee dyed paper to add into signatures and stuff. And also there's another thing that I saw Miss Gail do. I don't know if where she found it from or if she originated it, but she has signature pages that have labels around the whole perimeter. And I thought that was cool. I did it with some cheapy labels and I need to fix. So maybe I'll do that as another mass make. I should have another day that I don't have anything ready yet, scheduled for, and talk about, you know, how to do that. But again, give her the credit as to where I saw it. So there we go. We have a nice tag, size, large tag. Oh, let me tell you how big. Because I didn't even say that. So this puppy, she big. She's a little too big for most journals. So this is why you would probably use it for some kind of an option. Other than that, so over here we have it, and it is, my gosh, 10 and a quarter, a little more than a quarter, and it is almost 4, 3 and 7/8 about, right? So now this is so huge, right? Definitely moving this and folding this so that it could be over the page is totally an option, right? It has the letter, so there's a rotation that's important, right? If we don't mind and this is okay, then we can actually do this, right, beforehand, We could do that, and then we could make ourselves a little pocket, you know, there, a tag with a pocket. How tall would that make it? It would make it just under, yeah, just under 8. So we could do that as well, right? But right now, I'm not going to make any decisions because sometimes you may have a tall, skinny journal. And if that's the case, then that would be a page that was about 11 because you would fold up possibly your 8.5 by 11 paper. So let's put that back there and let's grab the other one. So the last one is these guys, right? So these guys are going to be, so all of these little bits and pieces, right, are not going to go in the trash, even though they're backed. We're going to save them in our stash for other things, right? Okay, so let's do another one. So again, let me show you this. So what's good about this one, I wish I had, did I get, I don't know, oh wait, did I? Oh, I originally started with this one. This is another option, right? You have this little handle, you have the triangular, you got the triangle shape, and that also is a way to kind of keep your hands away from the blade. The reason why I don't like this one as much as this is because it just can slide. There's nothing that's gripping it. Now, if you're not using it for measurements, because I forgot what kind, this is like an architectural, or I don't know what kind of ruler this is for. But it's got a lot of different measurements. It does have inches. I think it has, I want to say it probably has centimeters, but honestly, unless you know what they look like, I have no idea. I don't like this, whatever. So what this is, it has a little grip. You want one with a grip, okay? That's really going to make sure that you feel like your fingers are protected. So you'll line up the edge on your paper, you know? Put your fingers here, and guess what? Even if you know what? You're not going to get anywhere near your fingers. Okay, and then you're just going to smooth it across. Lovely. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing here. So we look, we line it up on our edge. Okay, and then look, it's holding to the paper. So, not sponsored. I don't mass produce these. I'm just saying that if see, I didn't line them up as much. It wasn't the wiggle. I wasn't lining it up as well as I should have. Okay, I was trying to rush. You can't rush. Okay, there we go. That's going to the trash. And then we're going to do this here. Okay, and then we will do this over here. Now, if it was like super, super dry, we could, let's try one anyway, but then we'll clean it up. We could, let's just do it here. We could put our thing right there, and you could actually do this, and you can get a nice little distressed edge, you know? So, I'll do that again over here, and get a distressed edge over here. Okay. So that looks kind of cool, right? And if you wanted to, you could even just, you know, see what I'm saying? Like, I thought I covered this sucker with so much glue. What is going on, people? Okay. Oh! Let's squeeze some in here. Maybe I didn't. Maybe she didn't do it enough. Okay. Oh my goodness. Yes. So yeah, I'm gonna put that there. So we've got one. So yeah, so here, this is just a quick little mask make idea, right? Where you could kind of, you know, figure out like, where do you want to spend your money? Where do you want to put your emphasis? Does everything have to be like truly the vintage? We use so many digitals, right? Why not have some digitals? I know there are people out there that have made digitals with, probably digitals with flashcards, throw them in the comments. Throw your link in the comment, and you know, some people may go out there and actually that's okay. I was like, no. Yeah, and put it out there so people passing by and visiting the comments, you know what, go ahead, put it there, because I'm equal opportunity, you know, whatever. I'm not gonna take you off unless it's something that's not applicable. So if you just throw your shop in there and it's not a link to a flashcard, I'm probably gonna remove you. So I will tell you that, because this is not about just, you know, I'm specific to what I'm talking about. So if we're talking about flashcards and you have them, link us your flashcards, not just an overall general link. Okay. So here's the mass make, right? We're not doing too much more to this, just a mass make idea. So go out there, Google yourself flashcards. These are addition. I had some subtraction that I found. There's a ton that I printed out. Google's alphabets. Google the colors of the rainbow flashcards. Google sight words flashcards. And you will get so many options that you know, people have put stuff out there for free. There are a lot of resources for homeschool education that they like to share, you know, and they have a blog post and they share, and they may have flashcards set up there as well. So, you know, even though I mentioned this Teachers Pay Teachers, right, to remind my fellow teachers that even though you don't teach that content, go back in there. Stop thinking about what you teach. Like me, I teach high school math. But I actually found one that has shapes in it, like flashcards with shapes, which I'm gonna print because hello. But yeah, so that is what you can do. So now, this one I think happens to probably work with the smallest one. Let's see. Yes. So yeah, so now I have a bunch of these cutesy little flashcards that I printed on some vintagey, worn, textural paper. They afford me some color, back it on. They almost feel like playing cards, honestly. So, and they're kind of small, yes, I know, but that's fine. Back them on, because you know what? They're going to be a piece of ephemera, or they're going to be a piece of decoration. Me and decoration. Didn't even say that correct. It's a little soft. It's like not wanting to go in there correctly. Yeah. Meaning, hello, belly. See? I want. This is the first time I'm using this adhesive, so maybe I missed some spots because being that it's white, maybe I thought I caught it all. Right? But as I was saying, use it as decoration themselves, like so you can have a bigger pocket and you have this as a decoration, the base of a cluster, right? Hello, this could be easily made into a belly band, right? I mean, right here we have a belly band. We got this long strip that was the cast off, and we are just going to go like this, and there we go. There's a belly band. Okay, so yeah, go out, find yourself some flashcards, print them on some funky paper, back them with some coffee dye, or print them on coffee dye paper. It's endless possibilities. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope I gave you some ideas for mass making. These are super quick to mass make and have ready to go in the stash. And so until the next time, if you are new, please consider subscribing and coming back. Hopefully I gave you inspiration to do so. If you are someone who has been with me for a minute, thank you so much for keep coming back. I hope that I'm not letting you down and that you are getting something as well. You can let me know by giving me a like or even a conversational comment in the comment section. But until next time, gotta put this down. Ciao, ciao. Bye.